This is the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Duncan.
He's throwing it toward Thornton, right corner of the end zone, caught! Touchdown New England!
The Patriots Pregame Show is your source for all the news and information before every game.
He took it to the house! Again!
Here we
and
go!
The Patriots take the lead!
With Matt Smith, Mike Dussault, Paul Perillo, and Tamara Brown.
And the Patriots have won their 6th Super Bowl title.
Patriots Nation, welcome to the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Duncan.
Good Sunday morning, everybody. Welcome to Week 9 in the National Football League, where we are from Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. And it's the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Duncan. To my left, Paul Perillo. To my right, Mike Dussault and Tamara Brown. We're going to get you all cranked up and ready to go for Week 9 of the NFL season, when the 2-6 New England Patriots travel to Nash Vegas to take on the 1-6 Tennessee Titans. Paul calls this one of the big board games of the day.
Absolutely.
I think, right?
It is for us. That's right.
It is for us.
Yeah.
Damn right.
It's our only game of the
Damn
day.
right.
That's right.
Conditions, I think, maybe a little warm in Tennessee. 78 degrees, I heard.
Yeah.
Light
That's my
winds.
type of weather.
Yeah.
That's my type of
Not
weather.
exactly football weather, but good football viewing weather,
Not
potentially.
It's football weather here, kind of nice and
Yeah.
cool out. Feel the winter
Absolutely.
coming here in November, so
Yeah.
Lots to discuss, lots to get to as we break this one down. Paul, what's on your mind as we get ready to kick off Week 9 with the Patriots and the Titans?
I make it easy. Drake May is the only thing on my mind. So you got the good news on Saturday that he had cleared concussion protocol, and it looks like all systems go today. So, I tend to be a little snarky. I understand. So there is reason, to be really interested in this game, just beyond the wins and losses that are obvious. But you get another chance to see your rookie quarterback and see if how much progress he's made.
I'm going to follow that up with you, Paul, because I know you have definitive thoughts on concussions and how everybody on the outside is telling everybody else what to do. Based on and I don't mean this is not a shot. We're not inside. We're not part of the discussions or anything like that. But as you're viewing it from afar and see how this was handled, what are your thoughts on the way that this was handled as an observer and seeing what went on?
I think it's the same as every other concussion is handled.
Pretty standard operating procedure.
It's by rote. Like, there's no gray area when it comes to concussions. The guys have to be they have to clear protocol, and the final say of protocol is not up to the team.
Right.
It's up to an independent neurologist. So I think it's pretty clear that he was able to pass through. I know that a lot of Patriots fans want to make this out to be that this was an anti-Patriot thing last week. He shouldn't have been removed from the game, and if it was Patrick Mahomes wouldn't have been removed from the game.
Josh Allen earlier in the year.
And Josh Allen was removed from the game, by the way. Right. He just was allowed to go back in.
Correct.
So I don't look at it that way. I think it's kind of out of the hands of the teams, and is it a perfect process? Absolutely not. There are guys that you see and you look and you say, "Ooh, he doesn't look right right there," and no one took him off the field. And then there's other times where you're like, hey, he looks fine. He just ran to the sideline. Why now is he getting taken out? It's not a perfect process, but I think that at least the league has done something to try to regulate these head injuries. I don't have any issues at all with how they handled the situation this week in terms of the NFL.
Tamara, for some context, last year, and I'm not saying that this is the one and the only, but in San Francisco, Brock Purdy was hurt. Was taken out of the game, was not allowed back in the game, and the next week he started for the San Francisco 49ers. So it's not like this is some miracles, loaves, and fishes job that's going on here. This kind of stuff happens in the NFL.
Yeah, it does. And honestly, the fact that he was able to deliver a couple more passes after that, which Gerard Mayo has talked about, he was shocked that Drake May went into concussion protocol because he was still delivering darts after he went down.
He keeps saying that, but that didn't happen.
He keeps saying that. But
he got sacked after that. And then that possession ended. I don't know where he's getting that, he was throwing dimes at. He ran 18 yards. The quarter kind of ended shortly after that. And then he got sacked to cause the third down, and that was the end of his day.
I thought he still threw after that. I have to look on
He might have attempted a pass, but he wasn't throwing darts.
But I will say I was a bit shocked that he did go into concussion protocol. So for me, it wasn't surprising that he was able to come back and play again this week, because it wasn't like a situation where he was down for a while and looked a little bit confused, and then it was obvious that he had a concussion. This one was less obvious.
So, Mike, the big question is going to be, here's your rookie quarterback who doesn't have a ton of experience. He was limited all week as far as reps in practice and everything like that. The coaching staff had no problem saying, you're back in there, baby.
I think it's a huge challenge for Drake Maye today. I mean, I don't want to put the whole game on him, but I think this is a good defense, and I think that might have gotten lost a little bit in the shuffle this week, is that they have some really good players up front that they disguise really well. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Drake Maye today, and I think I don't want to say he has to be perfect today, but as you know, when we get to the keys, I think it's a huge part today with him is not making mistakes, because I think the Patriots can win this game, but if the offense makes mistakes, turns the ball over, doesn't capitalize on their opportunities when they get close to scoring range, whether that's field goals or inside the red zone for touchdowns. I could see this really being a rock fight, and I think Drake needs to maybe have his best game of the day if the Patriots get best game of the season of his fourth start now. He needs to be really good today, I think, for them to get the win. Help
clarify, if you would. You use the word pressure. Do you mean pressure from the Titans defense or pressure in the situation, or maybe both?
I think he's seen a lot of defenses that kind of do what they do so far. And I think this is going to be a little bit more of a spin the dial kind of situation, which will just, put a little pressure on him. Coaches have praised him over the last couple of weeks of the strides that he's made, identifying what defenses are throwing at him, at least in practice. It's been a point that he's been praised for. But this is a game, and I think they're going to try to heat him up a little bit. They're going to try to confuse him. You got to love Jeffrey Simmons and Sweat inside. Two really big body, disruptive kind of guys that I think can put some pressure on the Patriots' interior offensive line and force Drake into quick decisions that I've said it before. I think at some point he's going to have a game where he really looks a little bit over his head, and it could be today, I think.
So let's then, Matt, get to the keys of the game.
You've waited all week for it.
The whole team's in the locker room right now just listening to this, waiting to hear what you're going to say.
Here are the Patriots pregame socials, keys to the game.
Okay, I'll kick things off. I wrote start to stack. Mike Dussault is showing, I think, a decent amount of concern going into this game, but I think we'd all have to admit this is a winnable game on the Patriots schedule. I think they need to take, if Jerod Mayo wants to get this program to where they're going, I don't care if this game's on the road or anything like that. This is a game I think that the Patriots need to win, whether it's a rock fight, as you say, or some sort of up and down, wear out the scoreboard kind of a game. I think this is a game that they need to win for the program.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it tells you, are you a top 5 team, top 5 pick kind of team, or are you a team that's kind of in the middle? Are you a team that's not quite scraping the bottom of the barrel in the AFC? I felt similar about the game a couple weeks ago against Miami, where it was a chance to take on a team that wasn't at full strength, but is now, in the middle of these AFC teams. And there's going to be quite a few of these games in both conferences that the Patriots have coming up. Not a lot, other than Buffalo, not a lot of high-level teams in terms of the standings, but a lot of teams that are either, like Tennessee's kind of an anomaly where they're at the bottom, but there's going to be a lot of these teams coming up like Miami, like Chicago, that are, kind of in the playoff hunt. And I think this is the kind of game that tells you where the Patriots are lining up right now. Are they getting better? Are they starting to be one of these teams that starts to play better football? We've seen signs of them improving over the last few weeks, and it's not overwhelming, but certainly they were able to win the game last week because of improved pass protection. A lot of hills still to be conquered with the run game, and I still think we need to stop the run. But this is a team that you theoretically could beat. I mean, just to go right into my key, avoid the Titanic mistakes. I think that focuses on the offense, and for Drake Maye, if Drake Maye is turning the ball over today, if guys are fumbling the ball, that is a recipe for a Patriots loss. They need to win in the margins. They need to win with maybe some takeaways on defense and getting their run game going. But I don't see the Patriots team winning this game today if the offense turns the ball over and is making major mistakes.
And Tennessee will give it back to you if you're interested.
Absolutely.
Right?
No, and they're the worst. They're the worst team for takeaway differential in the league. So certainly they're not a team that takes the ball away a lot. They're not a team that gives it away a lot. So we'll see. I just think that Drake needs to really play well today. I think that's kind of my key to the game as I've sat on this, and as he got ready to go, he hasn't had maybe the full preparation, but I think that he's had enough mental reps. He understands what's coming, but can he execute it? We'll see.
Tamara?
My key to the game is finish. since before the London game, this Patriots staff has been preaching start fast, start fast, start fast. This week, the emphasis needs to be on finishing fast. When you look at the Titans and their handful of games this season, you see a common trend. They start off the game and they're up. Most times 1 or 2 scores, and then they lose. Specifically last week, they were trading touchdowns with the Detroit Lions, and then Detroit scored 38 unanswered. The week before that, they were up 10-0 on the Bills. Then the Bills scored 34 unanswered. The week before that, 17-0. They're up on the Colts, and then the Colts finish the game and win, scoring the final 10 points. So this week, you can't just start fast. You have to finish fast because all of the Titans' points are scored in the first 3 quarters.
Great stats. Great stats. Paul, in our pre-show prep, you mentioned how yesterday was a busy transaction day for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I mean, I unfortunately don't know what they are, but I noticed that
It doesn't matter.
They elevated
big number.
They elevated like a half dozen players from the practice squad, so they're completely done. This game to me is all about taking the ball away, and this is going to be a contrast because the Titans give it away, the Patriots do not take it away. So someone's going to win and someone's going to lose to me, and that's the difference in the game. If this is an even turnover game, I don't like the Patriots' chances. I agree with everything Mike said about finding a way to protect the football and avoid those mistakes. Mike focused on the Patriots' offense avoiding mistakes. I think the defense needs to take it away. This is a team that is, I think they have 16 giveaways, tops in the league, minus 13 in turnover margin. So they don't take it away at all, Tennessee. So you should be able to protect the ball because they don't really take it away. Now the Patriots defense hasn't taken it away either, for the most part. But this is an offense that will give you some opportunities. Looks like the Patriots are going to get unlucky and they're going to face Mason Rudolph instead of Will Levis. I think Levis is more prone to the giveaways. So that's probably a break for Tennessee, even though Levis is better than Rudolph, but he's also more mistake prone. So I think you got to take the ball away and get a couple of short fields, maybe manufacture some points, maybe another Marcus Jones return, stuff like that, because the Patriots offense to me still is not to be relied upon to go out and win the game. I think they need some help.
I like the reality check that Mike Dussault brings to this because I think there's a level of confidence in the air that, everything's right with the world. They got right against the Jets. They're going to a team that's worse than they are. They're going to go down there and everything is going to be good. I like the fact that you're pumping the brakes on that.
I don't know why it's like a foregone conclusion that the other team is worse.
No, but do you feel that that's in the air?
Oh, yeah. I felt that was in the air going into the Miami game.
Yes.
I felt like that was in the air going into the Jacksonville game, and it didn't work out that way in either one of them.
Correct.
I agree with everything Mike said in his key.
Yeah, I think
not to nerd out a little bit, but look at the little green highlights here on my sheet. It's still, most of the important stats that I track, they're still favoring
the other team
Tennessee.
is favored by 3.5 points.
Right, that's not a mistake.
Yeah.
And their defense is good. They're a legitimate defense.
Yeah.
I think some of the special teams letdowns have colored a little bit of their team stats that make you think that this is a one-win team. Like, this is a desperate team that they want to win too. They've probably got more talent on their defensive side of the ball. Maybe that's debatable, but certainly up front they've got some real disruptive pieces that when you have a young quarterback, his first real road start. I know he was in London, but we're just talking about checking boxes off here. This is the first time he's been on a regular NFL kind of road trip. Take it for what it's worth, but still, you're on the road against a team with a good defense. They're going to be loud. It's going to be a challenge. This is first true away game for Drake May. Those fans, you were there, Matt, over in London. I can't imagine it was.
It was loud, but it was a neutral
environment.
Loud.
It wasn't a true.
No.
And again, he got out there against the Jets a little bit at the end. Earlier in the season in Week 3, so he's not totally jumping in there blind. But I think there's a lot of challenges against Drake on a condensed week of preparation for him. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's a tough
and
challenge.
And Tamara's numbers about how Tennessee has been able to start off these games reasonably well, that would only add to what you're talking about, Mike. If all of a sudden Drake May finds himself in the middle of a second quarter down 2 scores, that's not ideal on the road.
Yeah. I want to go back to Matt. I pulled up. You had a question about who they elevated. They elevated running back Joshua Kelly, defensive back Justin Hardy, receiver Bryce Oliver. Then they put offensive lineman Andrew Rupik. I might be pronouncing that wrong, on injured reserve. They waived a tight end. They elevated Trevor Siemian and an offensive lineman Corey Levin.
Appreciate going back and looking at the names, but I think what it means to me at least, Tamara, is I think there's some roster issues as the Titans go into the game today.
Well, they had I want to say 8 players that didn't practice for the most part all week.
Right.
And they had
get those readers on, baby.
Yeah, Andrew Rupich, L'Jarius Sneed, Tajay Spears, Trey Avery, Tyler Boyd, Amani Hooker, Will Levis, Tony Pollard, Dylan Raditz, and Tavondre Sweat. Out of that whole crew, they had limited participation for 3 of those players at some point during the week. And one of them was Spears, who obviously hurt his hamstring in the limited participation because he was ruled out on Friday.
Mm-hmm. Right. Pollard to play, Spears to not play, correct? And Sneed, I don't think is going to go
I don't know.
today.
Pollard didn't practice all week.
Yeah, Sneed is out. Yeah.
Sneed is already declared out, but Pollard didn't practice all week, so I wouldn't just pencil him in either.
Right.
I think the reports were that Pollard would play today, but still,
we'll see.
Not full speed.
Deuce, if you were sitting in a seat hosting or being part of a pregame show in Tennessee and looking at the Titans, wouldn't you have this game circled like this is our chance to get right? It's the Patriots. I'm talking about how the other team's looking at this team.
Yeah.
Wouldn't this be the one where you say, we got to get it done today?
Yeah.
We're at home. There's no excuse.
Yeah, especially you look at the Patriots' run defense. I mean, that's what I would be targeting. Mason Rudolph playing. Don't want to put the ball in his arm. I would say let's see if we can loosen this defense up a little bit. They've had issues against the run, and again, if I'm Jeffrey Simmons, I'm looking at a rookie quarterback, and I'm saying we have to disrupt this kid. We got to get in his face. He was just suffered a concussion last week. Let's try to hit him a little bit, see if he's fully recovered. That's where my focus would be. So that's really why I'm focusing on Drake May today. I think he's going to have to be able to take some hits and bounce back from some adversity today. I feel like that's what's coming down the pike.
When you say that there's a lot on his shoulders, do you have any faith? This is a multi-week plea in trying to get the Patriots running game going. Do you have any faith that they can try to establish that today, given the front that they're going to be playing against?
I mean,
I say
honestly,
no.
not really.
Right.
I don't really have a lot of confidence in it. I mean, I think that they can
Tough to have at this
do
point.
enough in key spots to allow them to win the game, but do I think that they can get their run game going enough to really dictate the game? It's hard. They have to prove it to me. I haven't seen it.
I could see a volume day if they're able to get the lead and do some of the stuff that the fans have been talking about all week, Matt, with the get right game, a chance to stack some wins together. I could see them having a lead in the second half and being able to run the ball 20 times in the second half, and all of a sudden the number looks really good at the end. But if it's just a regular day and you're trying to be balanced, Tennessee's not great against the run. They're better against the pass than the run, but I think it's still a better front than the Patriots have been able to display that they can open up holes. I'm kind of with Tamara and Mike. I'd be surprised if it was a huge day for the running game.
So what's the script look like, Paul, for AVP in that first couple of series? What do you think? Are they going to try to come out, spread it out, chuck and duck, and see if they can get a lead? Or are they going to come in with a jumbo package and try to see if they can establish some sort of a run early?
I think they're probably going to come out throwing. I think that's kind of what they've been doing with May a little bit. Not like bombs away down the field, but some quick timing throws. Mixing in some runs here and there. You gotta. I think you need to find a way to be successful early in the game because of the stats that Tamara threw out there. You don't want to fall behind on the road and have a young quarterback having to feel like he needs to, sort of press we got to score in this possession right here. That's when the mistakes come, and that's when it snowballs.
Yeah.
So you guys don't think the run game is going to be productive. Tamara, that means that there's going to be a lot of attention shifted to the wide receiver room, and there's been a lot of attention on that wide receiver room for the last couple weeks.
Absolutely. I think it's tough to have confidence in these wide receivers who are more focused on getting the ball and why they aren't getting the ball and why they aren't active. And when the ball does come their way, they drop it. When the ball does come their way, they're not in the right spot. 6 drops last week is unacceptable, especially when you're dealing with a team who's already struggling to get points on the board. If Drake May is dropping it in the bucket and you're dropping it, then you really shouldn't be talking in the locker room. And I think when you're looking at this week's wide receivers, I'm wondering who is going to be active. Because we're getting hints that Javon Baker will play on offense today, and so whose spot is he taking? Is it Tyquan? Is it KJ Osborne? So I'm curious to see who is active, because you can't have all of them active. I just feel like that's pointless. But they have to get out there and be productive. They've been said to have a good week of practice, according to AVP and Jerod Mayo, but I would like to see them be productive today.
This is a crazy take, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's going to catch 10 balls for 130 yards or anything like that. I get the feeling that Polk might contribute today. Now, the bar is very, very low because he hasn't contributed all year. But if there's ever a time for a kid to really become determined, he's coming out of the concussion protocol, he's not had a great beginning to his NFL career. Let's see if they invested and evaluated the right guy when they drafted. I'd like to see them try to get him going. And by going, I mean catch a ball. Again, low bar.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see him be on the plus side rather than the negative side. Is that too much to ask for?
It's not too much to ask, especially if you're going to be in the locker room saying, I have the best hands in the NFL.
Right.
If you're going to talk the talk, you need to be able to walk the walk.
And
And so when he's active today, if he is able to play today, I hope that he walks the walk like he's been talking the talk.
Right. And Deuce, you mentioned, and I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying about Drake May, there's a lot of pressure. But I think there's a lot of pressure on that room to get the stink off of last week's game out of the air.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I'm expecting more Kendrick Bourne too. I said it last
I'd rather
week,
have that be Kendrick Bourne today.
Yeah, like
Let's see if we can get him going.
I always give guys coming off an ACL a few games to, a few games. I mean, really, you need a bunch. But, his hands haven't been there, and he told us that much when he came back, that it's going to take me a few games to really get back up to speed. And I think some of the drops with him, some of the missed timing, that's just long layoff and rust. I get it. I expect him to be better. I've seen him be better. I know he can be better. I still really believe in Jalen Polk, too. I think, in a perfect world, you've got Bourne and Polk and Demario Douglas in the middle. That trio, I think, is a pretty good little foundation that I would like to build around. But they've got to be more productive, as Tamara said. They can't be dropping balls. I still believe in Jalen Polk. I think he's a good, solid football player, and I'm really disappointed we haven't seen it yet from him, because I don't think he's going to set the world on fire or anything like that, but I think he can be a reliable piece to this offense and the kind of player that they just need. And that's what's so frustrating, is what they need is exactly, and what I think he can do is exactly what he's not doing, which is just get open and catch the ball. You don't have
to
You don't have to go 60 yards and take it to the house every time. You just have to, get those little comebacks on third down and get just, we need 11, you got us 12, that kind of guy. I think he can be it, but as you said, 9 games left. The time to start producing if you're one of these young rookies.
Matt Morrell, I'm going to
guys often get the notifications on Saturdays that I don't. So, was there something about Polk this week specific that came out? Any updates on him?
No,
just
that he was off.
Are we all sure that he's going to be active today?
I don't think
I think he's off the list. I think he's off.
No. I know he's off.
Yeah.
I know. No. Not for an injury.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's like if Javon Baker, if we're getting the hints that he's going to play on offense and special teams today, then whose spot is he taking?
I think
they were all active last week, other than Polk.
Yeah,
right.
So does he just roll it back with the same group? That's what I'm asking.
I think it's a fair question. Does he sit another week, even though he might be ready to go from the concussion?
That would be semi-eye-opening to him. Matt Morrell is going to ask you a question. Do you have a wind drop or anything like that, like a breeze or a wind drop or anything like that? Because I hear
we can blow in our mics.
I hear the trade winds blowing a little bit as we're talking about the wide receiver room. You want to know who Baker's spot might be? Healthy scratch or allegedly KJ Osborne's not on the injury report, right?
No.
So
I would say him or Tyquan.
Right, and I read someplace, I think it was in Mike Reese's column today, that maybe they do Osborne a solid as a vet by just flat out releasing him and let him go someplace else. Osborne would seem to me to be the likely candidate there. Again, I'm not trying to put this guy into the Hall of Fame, but as we discussed last week in the post-game show, Tyquan Thornton actually made a play last week, and so I don't know if that's enough for them to think about building. Let's keep him on there. Maybe he can, we can get a little something more out of him. Osborne would be the one guy that just reeks of
and
Baker taking his
spot. And even if you just look at their contracts, Osborne's gone next year. Like these other guys, I'm not saying any of these guys are the future, but they'll all be back if you want them. So if you're really trying to get a sense of guys that you're going to have, and I think Osborne probably would be the odd man out.
Yeah, I would have Polk in for Osborne, absolutely.
Does that mean, Gulp, that Boutte is now your Gulp again? One of your most reliable wide receivers on your roster?
I don't know if I'd call him reliable. I mean, I think he's
I'm sorry,
flashed
maybe,
the most, I think.
Let me reword that.
Yeah.
He's earned a spot where you're not even talking about the fact whether he's going to be active or inactive.
Oh,
absolutely.
No,
absolutely.
He's made enough plays.
Yeah.
Like, he shouldn't be on that list.
No,
You just want
exactly.
more.
Yeah.
You want more from him. You want
Kinda
more.
remarkable.
You want more consistency from him. You can't just have a couple big plays a game.
Sure.
You want to establish him, but no, I think he's of everybody that's taken advantage and of their opportunities. He's really a top my
Done the
list.
most.
And I like seeing a guy have some drops in a game, allowed to work through it, comes through in a big spot at the end. I'm hopeful that by going through some struggles last game, that can help elevate his confidence. And because he's another one where you talk about like things that I thought were a strength are exactly what you're not seeing. I mean, his hands are great. Boutte, that's the one thing I've said about him all summer long when he was trying to make this team was that I really like his hands. I don't know what else he can do. He's got a little bit more shake to him, I think, than maybe I gave him credit for. But his hands are his best thing. So I'm just hoping last week was more uncharacteristic, and we'll see those guys really their true traits come out as they get more time.
I asked him in the locker room. I was like, "What's been the game changer for you from week 1 last season? You not getting your 2 feet in and literally never seeing the field again until this year. What was the difference?" He was like, "I really took advantage of my scout team reps." He was like, "That is how I'm standing here today, is because I took that moment and that opportunity to get better and show the coaches that I'm able to play." And I was honestly shocked by it because honestly, going into this season, I didn't expect him to be where he is right now.
Yeah,
I didn't expect him to be getting.
Neither did the coaches.
Yeah.
I think he's a pleasant surprise.
He is.
When you're looking, we're at the halfway mark, as Mike reminded everybody before the show, that you look at the halfway mark and you think, well, what didn't you expect? I think Kayshon Boutte to be, my word here, and I don't know if it's correct, reliable, is very unexpected.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's good or bad.
What might say more
He's
about
been
the
their
rest
best
of the room.
receiver.
Right.
And I don't know if that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Like, I think you would have hoped that some of these other guys would have stepped up. He's stepped up. He's earned more playing time. But, where's everybody else? We
mentioned Bourne, not Bourne, I was going to get to him in a second. We mentioned Osborne as a possible candidate in the trade deadline. Do you think Bourne is also, do you think that there's any kind of a market for him?
His name keeps getting brought up with San Francisco to go back there with all the injuries they've had at that spot. And I would think that he would be a candidate, sure. He's a veteran guy, has some familiarity with the Shanahan system, obviously played in it. But, I don't know. Can you trade? You can't trade all of these guys.
No.
I don't know. I would be interested in listening to see what I could get back, but I don't, I know we kind of went back and forth on PU during the week, I think it was last week, not this past week, what he would be worth. I just think you're looking at a late day 3 pick.
2 guys that surprised me, if the reports are true, and I question the reports always as a matter of course. 2 names that surprised me on the list, allegedly. Kyle Duggar, Devon Godshaw.
Yeah.
I think Godshaw was quoted as saying that his agent hadn't heard anything about that and thought he might get a heads up if that was going to be the case. Those ones just help me understand where those I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that one guy's Vince Wilfork and the other guy is Rodney Harrison. I'm not saying that. But you made a commitment to it, certainly to Duggar in the offseason, and you arm wrestled with Godshaw for a little bit before placating. I don't know if it's placating him or coming to an agreement with him. Those are curious ones to me. So help educate me.
Well, it's hard to know are teams calling about them or are the Patriots calling and saying if you want these guys, they're available. So
and that makes a difference, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm with you, Matt. It's surprising. It's surprising that a guy that you would hear Kyle Duggar's name, not because I'm entirely against trading him, but just he was kind of a key piece of your offseason right now, and I think he signals some of the direction you want to go and. To move him right now, I would be a little bit of even Godshaw too. Even though those guys are probably 2 of the only veterans that appeal to other teams.
Yeah, Godshaw doesn't surprise me at all. But I wholeheartedly agree with you on Duggar. At the age, that should be someone.
Program
based
guy.
on what you
Shouldn't
just did, you would think that'd be a guy that you really think is part of your future.
And Peppers might
Godshaw
never play
might have
for you too.
Godshaw's had a really solid year, and maybe someone would want him. I think there might be some value.
Yeah.
You might have a playoff team that looks at him and says, you can never have enough depth on the defensive line, stopping the run. One of those guys, specialty kind of guy. I could understand him generating some interest there, but 30 years old, I can understand if the Patriots were interested. Duggar, I would be very surprised.
So, to me, the whole thing comes, the names are a surprise. That's one thing. What is the potential compensation coming back would be the other thing. And both of them, I would think, would be almost giveaways. Like, what are you going to get for Devon Gottschall? What are you going to get for Kyle Duggar? Like, if somebody's going to dangle a number one, then you make the trade. Well, you fly them out, you walk them out yourselves.
I think
that's
Duggar
not
could
happening,
get
though,
you,
right?
I think Duggar could get you something.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might get a day 2 pick.
That's what I was thinking. 3-4.
Yeah,
like that.
three or four.
Probably
Gottschall,
4.
no. But you never know. Sometimes these things, sometimes Bill Belichick hands guys second-round picks for Jag receivers. That happens. It happens.
Good.
Yeah. I guess I was the Duggar thing is surprising to me, and that was a national reporter that I think first came out with that one, not a local reporter that had that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm being better when I talk about my colleagues.
Well, I was just trying to differentiate between whether it was a local or national person.
Yeah, this is where I would say something like, "Of course, it was a national
Oh,
reporter."
okay. All right. Well, that's fine.
But I wouldn't. I'm not.
But
I'm
I
not
don't.
saying
But I
that.
don't do that anymore.
That's fine.
You turned over a new leaf yesterday?
That's fine. Let's see. 855 Pats 500 is the phone number if you want to join us. Email us, please, at podcast@patriots.com. Let's see. This is for Paul. I just wanted to show praise to Paul on finally expressing his distaste for Bill Belichick's endless double standards. I hear the anger. I hear the pain. I hear the recovery. We are here for you, Paul. We support you, and we absolutely love how passionate you are about it. From Boston Cream. Paul, help me out on that. What did I
love
miss?
Boston Cream.
Did I miss a meeting or something like that? Did I
No,
miss
we were
a
just
rant?
talking about Bill's hypocrisy. There's certainly no pain involved in it. I know Boston Cream's having fun. But no, just Bill, being able to, with a straight face, rip the Patriots for, only getting a 6th-round pick in that trade. That's what these guys are worth. Just because you gave a 2nd-round pick for Mohamed Sanu doesn't mean that was his worth. And it just amazes me that he can, with a straight face, continue to do that every week and pretend that he's actually offering impartial analysis of the Patriots situation, because it's so far from it. And I'm not trying to be Johnny Homer here. There's plenty of things that we can be critical of for the Patriots. We're not overlooking the shortcomings on the roster, despite some efforts to do so from other outlets. We're talking about everything. But for Bill to sit there and rip Gerard Mayo and Elliott Wolf for only getting a 6th-round pick for Joshua Uche, to me, just reeks of hypocrisy. And we talked about it during the week.
Got it. Understood. Thank you for catching me up. A house divided from Oliver in Nash Vegas writes in, longtime fan of the show. I'll cut to the chase. I'm from Rhode Island and a longtime Pats fan. I got married yesterday.
Married?
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Congratulations. My now wife and I have been together for 8 years, and we're celebrating today by going to the Pats-Titans game at Nissan. Small problem. She's a Titans fan.
Oh.
Wish us luck in the house divided. Looking forward to see Drake May and happy to see that. That's a nice little story there. A little wedding. What better thing to do the day after you get married than a little Pats Tennessee game
Is this
on a
considered the
beautiful
honeymoon?
day?
Is this the
I don't know. It's a
honeymoon?
good question, Tamara.
Pre-moon?
Yeah.
Not in my house, it wouldn't be.
We're
doing what after our wedding?
You have to do
A
football.
honeymoon?
We're getting married? What?
I don't know. I had a day in between the wedding and the honeymoon. And
Oh.
I was trying to tread water there to see if I could catch a quick Northeastern BC basketball
Oh,
game.
gosh.
Didn't happen.
Oh,
big
wow.
one? No.
That away.
No,
you
only
at
took a
its
day.
best.
We took a few months out. We got married March 31st. We didn't go to Hawaii till July, so we had a little.
We're
we
not
broke it up a
independently
little
wealthy
bit.
like you, so
Was-
we didn't
was
have that
that-
opportunity.
Well, we got a free
That sounds-
timeshare. So.
That sounds like that's more
We
and
didn't have a
more
choice.
a thing that a lot of people are
Take a
putting
little
that
break.
off. Yes. Yeah, I like that. It's kind of
glad
interesting.
we
idea.
did. The wedding goes by so quick.
Right.
That was like what I was crazy. It's like little 5-minute conversations with everyone from your life, and then all of a sudden everybody's lining up to say goodbye to you, and you're like, that's it. This
Right.
night's over.
Nate in northeastern Pennsylvania writes, earlier Paul mentioned he had hoped for another big return from Marcus Jones today, if I'm not mistaken. Paul also believes that Jones is one of the most dynamic punt returners in the league right now. It's hard to disagree with. How's a kid from Detroit doing? That's dynamic.
He's Holy Cross's own.
Yeah,
Holy
there you
Cross
go.
guy.
Which begs the question, will we see Marcus Jones take an offensive snap this season? Nobody will forget that touchdown he had versus the Bills. That's from Nate in northeastern Pennsylvania, who clearly didn't watch Patriots All Access this week when we penned that question to head coach Jerod Mayo, who didn't exactly shoot it down but said Marcus Jones is first a cornerback and is second a punt returner. And as of now, there doesn't seem to be. Now, maybe he's being coy. Maybe there's a secret package in there that's under wraps or anything like that. But he didn't make it sound like there was a lot of room in the offense for Marcus Jones.
I would do it, but I understand.
Good question.
I understand why he has a bigger role in defense now than he did that rookie year when he was doing a lot of offense. Now he was playing in all three phases. If you remember, Mike, some of those games, he was doing all three. But now he's a full-time every down cornerback. So maybe that's why I would still do it, because I think they need some playmakers on offense, and they don't really have enough.
Yeah, I mean, we never saw any of it in the summer, right? Like, I don't ever remember seeing any snaps. Sometimes they do.
But he was on the field so infrequently.
Yeah.
Period.
Right, that's true.
True.
Yeah. You would like to see a dynamic player like him have the ball in his hands. It's not a Sunday morning without saying hello to Pat in Agawam. Good morning, Pat. You're with us on the Patriots Pregame Social, fueled by Duncan. Good morning.
Morning, everyone. I can't believe we're right here at the halfway point of the season. It always seems to fly by, And just looking at the schedule, I kind of have to disagree with Paul and Deuce. I think we got the better quarterback this week, in my opinion. And I know that's a big caveat for Big Head, our friend Big Head. But I think the Titans they're another one of these teams like us that doesn't have that much talent and that much depth. And I just look at the quarterback matchup, and if the kid's good and ready to go, I think we're going to win this game. And looking at the schedule, I don't think.
How do you disagree with Mike and I then? Do we say that Drake May is not better than Mason Rudolph?
Yeah, I didn't hear that in their comments.
No. You were saying how they got to win the turnover. I think even if we're -1 on the turnover battle,
you lose
today. I think we could still beat them because
you lose. Don't be minus in a turnover battle against a team that can't take the ball away. That would be a disaster. They have 3 takeaways all year.
Yeah, I gotcha, but I don't know. I'm feeling confident.
All right. Oh, that was a mistake by me, Pat. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Happy Sunday morning to you.
In full disclosure, we don't have to wait till the end of the show. I'm picking the Patriots to win the game. But I just don't overlook the other team's ability like a lot of other people do. I do think that they need help because this offense has not been good.
I also want to see them, so say if Marcus Jones does get them in good field position multiple times today, I want them to take advantage of it. And not with 3 points,
but those are
with a touchdown.
That, to me, those are like turnovers. Like when Marcus Jones goes 62 yards on the first drive of the second half, that gives you a touchdown.
Yeah.
And they pounded it in, Tamara. I mean, they did take advantage on that one time.
I want to see them do it more than that one time, especially when you're looking at their game last week versus Detroit. 262 return yards is crazy.
Yeah.
So if Marcus Jones can house one and then get another 62 yards to set the Patriots offense up in good field position, that'd be great.
Well, you certainly would look at that after looking at the tape last week against Detroit as an area of opportunity. I would also caution those who are doing that to say my guess is the Titans special teams, coaching staff, and players had a tough Monday and a tougher week, and that will be a point of emphasis for the Titans this week to clean that up.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I think you heard from Jeremy Springer on Friday, and he kind of downplayed it. I mean, I think these coaches all know each other. So
sure.
He doesn't want to kill him too bad, but yeah, it's got to be a point of emphasis. And I think it lines up with kind of how Paul and I are seeing the game of they've got to win with field position on special teams. And even if it's not taking it back to the house, it's the little pieces in this game. Because to me, it feels like it's gonna kind of be slow back and forth out of the gate. It's gonna be. You said rock fight. Just hard to get things going for both teams. I think initially, and I hope that's the case for the Titans side of the ball.
If the Titans go the other way, I kind of agree with Matt. I think that they were embarrassed last week. It's embarrassing for an NFL team to allow that to happen to them. And I think they'll probably respond. They're coming back home. It's a young team, first-year coach. There's a lot of similarities with these two teams. But the first-year head coach trying to establish a program, my guess is they'll play a little bit harder and maybe a little bit tighter than they did a week before. I think Matt is right about that.
So, Paul,
but that doesn't mean I'm right.
Yeah.
They might just that might be the tip of the iceberg, and they might just pack it in.
Right. Remind fans, if you would, Paul, please, because you're very good at this, amongst other things. It was a statistical anomaly last week when the Patriots beat the Jets for whatever reasons those were, not turning it over, et cetera, et cetera. What did the Titans do defensively to really shut down arguably the best team in the NFL and the Detroit Lions in Detroit, and they got larruped because of their special teams?
They didn't shut down the Titans.
Well, I mean, they didn't throw for a lot of yards, right?
Because what Tamara said, Khalif Raymond kept giving them the ball on 5 yards.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
they could only get 5 yards.
Yeah. But I mean,
they scored 52 points.
Yeah, no. But they didn't throw it all over. You look at 52 and
but they didn't. I believe Goff was 12 or 15 for 85 yards.
Right.
Yeah.
That's unusual when you put up 52.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But what they didn't stop him is my point. He only had 3 incomplete passes the whole game.
Right.
But
it wasn't an aerial showdown.
No, because
they
had
262 return
260 yards in returns.
Yeah. They
had a 70-something yard kick return, I think 72-yard kick return, a 90-something yard punt return, another punt return that went for more than 50. They had a 70-yard touchdown run by Jahmyr Gibbs. It was an embarrassment. That does not happen to NFL teams. That's like college, and even in college, that's when you have the homecoming game. Like Mississippi State hosting UMass yesterday, and even that didn't happen because Mississippi State's not very good this year. But that's the kind of stuff that you only see when it's a mismatch, like a complete mismatch in talent. And that's why I think you're right, Matt. I think, Brian Callahan will look and say, all right, guys, look, we got to tighten some of these things up. We can't allow these kinds of special teams breakdowns. We can't allow a 70-yard touchdown run. We can't allow these big plays. You got to go back to the basics, and I think that they will sort of circle the wagons a little bit and play a better game today. But
what are their
but I was Tennessee. I'm not sure of that. I think they're capable.
Right.
This is where I disagree with Patty. Just you look at the roster, and there's some talent here. Now, I don't know who's going to play today. I don't know what part of this talent is not going to be on the field because we mentioned the lengthy injury report, but they got a couple of first-round picks on the offensive line on the left side. They got a solid running back, very similar to Ramondre Stevenson, I would say, with Tony Pollard. Good, not a star, but a good solid running back. They have a really good tight end in Okonkwo. They have Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd. Everybody wants Jalen Polk to be Tyler Boyd someday.
Right.
Well, they have Tyler Boyd. And then they have Nick Westbrook-Akine, who's like a good, solid secondary kind of receiver. But they haven't been able to put it all together. I do think they have pieces. I agree with Patty. Drake May is better than Mason Rudolph. And if Drake May were playing for the Titans today, I would have the Titans.
Here's what I'm going to get under. 3 minutes till inactives are coming, but I want to get under Paul's skin for a second here.
Oh, you got to save it, though, because I got to go talk to my other show.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Well.
Because we missed about talking about the Titans' best player on the team. The great Calvin Ridley.
That's exactly what I was gonna.
And did the Patriots catch a break? And Calvin Ridley not agreeing to whatever the Patriots are offering. We will debate that and other topics when we come back. You're listening and watching to the Patriots Pregame Social, fueled by Duncan.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex This contours to it, so the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no.
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no.
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no.
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every
Join the conversation by calling into the TPX hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at podcast@patriots.com. Now, live from our studios, here is Matt Smith.
Welcome you back to the Patriots Pregame Social, fueled by Duncan. Here's a question for the crowd. If your team runs on their fans, what do the fans run on? When you kick off your day with Duncan, we're with you all the way to the end zone. Make a run to Duncan. Official coffee run of the New England Patriots. It's 32 after the hour, Tamara. Drum roll, please. And that means it's inactive time. Let him rip. Let him rip.
I'm going to go right to the point with the important inactives. Kyle Duggar, KJ Osborne, Tyquan Thornton. We were talking about it at the beginning of the show. What's going to happen with that wide receiver room with Javon Baker trending toward playing on offense and special teams today, as well as Jalen Polk returning from being in the concussion protocol? Well, now you have it. KJ Osborne, Tyquan Thornton, both healthy scratches. That's a big one when you're looking at this wide receiver room.
Is Kyle Duggar an injury concern or a let's make sure he doesn't get hurt concern?
I think that's a good question. I would err on the side of injury concern.
Same.
I went out to practice on Friday. Kyle, Doctor, Brian Belichick, safeties coach, all spent a long time talking before practice getting going. You could tell there seemed like something going on there. So I would err on that side. He didn't play last week. So another big day for Marte Mapu, who really has become not only an every down player on defense, but is playing a lot of special teams as well. So love that for Marte Mapu, getting a lot of experience across the spectrum right now, playing on defense. I think he brings an element of physicality, and those guys, they need to play. They need to get experience. So I'm excited about that. It's tough, though. It's tough blow for Duggar. We talked a little bit about him. You sign him up for long-term deal. You want him to be part of the fabric of this team going forward. And he's had a tough year with injury luck, and it just it seems like they can't quite get it all together with Peppers being out too. You thought going in this was one of your most reliable groups, and really it's been tested this year. Luckily, Mapu I think has stepped up and done pretty well. Jalen Hawkins, as well as rookie Del Pettis, who undrafted guy getting some rotational safety reps. I don't think anybody really thought that would happen this summer when you looked at that group of how stacked they were, but just goes to show you never know. You're going to need everybody.
And Mayo said that in the summer when you asked him what room impresses you the most, and he said the safety room. That was where he led with and everything. So I believe him on that. And while I brought out the conspiracy theory about Duggar, I'm not one to believe in conspiracy theories, and I believe this is nothing more than trying to manage his injury and everything like that. It might be a decent week to do that. We're not talking about Ear Coryell and the San Diego Chargers here that he's missing this game against. Let's get him right and let him help the team down the stretch if he's close to being a game-time decision or whatever like that. That's how I would read it.
Yeah, and just along with Javon Baker, I'm curious. He's just one of the most interesting players I think of this year. Was drafted.
It's a big statement.
Drafted 6th round. Like usually, you're not getting. Or sorry, did I say 6th? 4th round. You're not usually thinking much of these guys, but the statement afterwards, he's got some upside to him. We saw this summer he let's say earned Drake's trust, but Drake just had an uncanny willing ability to chuck the ball down the field. To
Philadelphia game, right? If you
Philadelphia
recall.
game,
right.
and he's had some drops. So we've spent all this time talking about the drops, and he's one of the players that I thought was really maybe one of the main offenders of drops this summer. So if he is going to get some opportunities today, I really want to see him be able to hang on to the ball and make some plays, because I think Drake will throw it to him. I hope that they still have that kind of confidence. Javon Baker moves a little different than everybody else on the roster. And I think, with Osborne and Thornton, you've seen them get some opportunities over the first parts of the season, and now you see them kind of leaning more into this next wave of younger players. So anytime you're getting guys like Mapu or Baker or Polk or, even Del Pettis, like any of these young guys getting quality playing time right now, I really like it. And hopefully they can pull out a win. That's the biggest thing, trying to build by winning and not, they got experience, but they lost. So, get out there and win a game today and start to build that camaraderie, that trust, and that foundation they need.
I mean, I think this is a big day for Patriot fans to take a look at potentially the future. Polk's going to play. Baker's going to play. Boutte's going to play. Let's see if that, with your number 3 overall pick quarterback, let's see what you can do. I think it's exciting to say, hey, this is something really to look forward to and watch the game today.
And I think when I look at Drake May and Jalen Polk specifically, those two are like thing one and thing two. You never saw one without the other throughout the summer. And so their chemistry, to me, building on today, moving forward, is going to be so crucial. I mean, they never left each other's side. They spent so much time with each other. They stay after practice with each other. And so when you're looking at today's game, I'm hoping that Jalen Polk can bounce back and start building something special with
them.
Yeah,
I think that's a big one to watch for today. I really think that's a big one to watch for today.
I want to live for like the 6-catch Jalen Polk game, where everything I said at the top, where Drake May needs to be really good, that Polk emerges as one part of that safety blanket. We've seen with Hunter Henry being a great safety blanket. You've seen him have some connection with Douglas getting down the field. But, maybe Polk can really be a useful piece today with this defense, being reliable, being in the right place at the right time, and just, getting that yard, getting the necessary yard when it's, like I said, 3rd and 7, you get 8. That's what I want out of Jalen Polk.
I think it's something to really look forward to, as we're a little bit under 90 minutes before the Patriots kick off in Nash Vegas against the Titans. A reminder as you're watching and listening that this is the Patriots pregame social fueled by Dunkin'. Massachusetts is made for everyone, for leaf peepers, corn maze strollers, regatta lovers, pumpkin pickers, and anyone else you can think of. Come to where there's something for everyone this fall, Massachusetts, where everything is made possible. Plan your trip at visitma.com. Emailer writes in, the Patriots are almost guaranteed to win this game, and here's why. I'm going to be interested to read the rest of this because I don't think I'd ever say that. Anyway, teams that have played the Lions this year are 0-6 in that team's next game, including some blowouts and embarrassing losses, like the Rams losing to the Cardinals 41-10, the Cardinals losing to the Commanders 42-14, the Seahawks losing to the Giants 29-20 in Seattle. Going off this trend, the Patriots will win. My prediction, win. Patriots 24, Titans 14. Gonzo gets the second pick of the year, and Drake May plays well. That's Micah in South Dakota.
It's a great stat.
Might have outdone the stats that Tamara was bringing some heat earlier in the show. Well, those are pretty good stats, Micah.
No, and Paul always tells us follow the trends. I'm sure we'll hear more of that.
That's an interesting trend
when we're making our pick. But I will say, I don't think we've touched on Gonzalez today.
Wait, are we saving that for Paul? Because didn't he want to talk about Calvin Ridley?
Oh, did he?
Oh, I'm going to save Calvin Ridley for Paul. He's tied up in another show.
We'll save it because I think those two are tied together. So
they are tied together, and I want to go back to the inactives because I did it a disservice. I told you who was inactive, but I want to point now to who is active, who was on the injury report this week, Vederian Lowe.
Yep.
And so I think that for the second week in a row, we could have the same starting five, which is great because this offensive line has not been able to build continuity. Obviously, last week, they were able to have the same starting lineup as week 6 versus the Texans, which is Lowe, Jordan, Brown, Onwenu, Jacobs. So now, back-to-back weeks could be for the first time that they have that same five.
And I thought it was interesting to hear Alex Van Pelt earlier in the week really kind of defend his group, the coaching and the offensive linemen, and how he charted the game. I don't think they gave up any sacks or something like that. And I thought that was good. Again, little building blocks, you know? This team's not going to the Super Bowl this year, but how can they improve during the year? Yeah. I think Van Pelt was pretty passionate about that during the week.
I actually have that quote. He said, Van Pelt credited the much-maligned offensive line with a 0-sack day last week against the Jets. He said the 2 sacks allowed weren't because of the offensive line. It was arguably their best day of the season in pass protection, and it wasn't a coincidence. It was the game where left tackle Vederian Lowe returned from an ankle injury.
Good point. Nice job on that. I'm going to ask for another one, and I think this game warrants this, where we generally overlook this, Tamara. Take a look at the Titans inactive list. And we talked earlier in the show that this is a team that's banged up. They had to bring up a lot of people. Give me the highlights on names that are not going to play today for Tennessee.
Obviously, Will Levis. But Snead, their cornerback, who obviously they acquired this season. Tajay Spears, which leaves it all to Tony Pollard as their lead running back. Trey Avier, another CB, Cedric Gray, linebacker, Dylan Redunz, offensive line, which they just lost another offensive lineman earlier this week, and then tight end David Martin Robinson. It seems like a big hit to their secondary, honestly, from these inactives lists.
Well, Snead, certainly, but we knew that he was going to be out. Spears is the other big name that I think, because I think he's been productive for them in places, Mike, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I like Tony Pollard, though. He's a good, balanced running back, and
but how good is he going to be after playing not practicing all week?
No, we'll see. You get to this point in the year and everybody's a little bit banged up or having to play through something, but it'll be a big break for the Patriots run defense. That their running backs are thinned out a little bit. You'll take any kind of break you can use at this point. I'd also just adding about people who are active. Christian Elliss, he was another one who was fighting through some injuries this week and has seen a rise in play time over the last couple weeks as they've inserted him from just being primarily a special teamer to more of a linebacker role and played a bunch. I thought he's got good speed. I think that's something that I don't know if he's the most experienced guy at the second level in terms of everything that's required of those second level players of defeating blocks and reading plays and getting there before the blockers are able to set up. But he's the kind of guy that has speed, and I think when you have speed, you can disrupt things a little bit, lets him make some plays in coverage as well. So we'll see if his role stays that high. But another player just to kind of keep an eye on that they've had to kind of tack to with all the injuries they've had.
Our post-game guest last week, Christian Elliss, and so Christian Elliss giveth, and he taketh away. We saw the giveth on the sack of Aaron Rodgers, and he was being lifted up by his teammates coming off the field. That was great. We also saw him with a boneheaded pass interference when they tried to go a wheel route on him in the end zone, and he was banging his head in frustration knowing, I can't do that. Those are the kinds of things I think you're going to see with younger players.
Sure, that's what you just have to kind of bite the bullet on with playing those guys. There's going to be moments that are good. There's going to be moments that are bad. I think that feeds into what I said about Drake at the top. At some point, I feel like he's going to have a game where he really looks like a rookie. We've seen it from the other rookies, the quarterbacks that have been playing. Just hope it's not today, because I think they have a real opportunity to win this game today if he just plays solid, doesn't get out of himself, lets it come to him. I just don't want to see him pressing, trying to force things to happen.
Yeah.
That would be a bad sign.
Podcast at Patriots.com is our email address, and Courtney in Houston, Texas has a good one here, in my opinion. Hello, Matt and the gang. One nugget from the enemy side. The Titans special team coach spoke recently about having starters play on special teams going forward since the special teams have been god-awful. If the coaching staff notices that the Titans players are taking on these extra reps, can you see AVP stay true to the ground game to continue to try to wear these guys out? Interesting point.
Yeah, I do think it's an interesting point. I just don't know if they have the sustainable run game. Where,
Agreed.
Yeah, we're going to try to run 3 times, but we're only getting 2 yards a pop, and then we're punting. So it's got to be balanced. I think Paul was right. I think we all agree. Throw to score, run to win. It's kind of the formula that we want to see executed in the modern NFL to win games. But don't question. That's what's kind of a head scratcher, Matt, is that you got a lot of praise for the offensive line this week. And I think generally speaking, offensive linemen will tell you it's easier to run block than pass block. You really run block, you get after guys. You get to, you're not sitting back trying to, defend blockers that are coming at you. Rather, you can kind of be more deliberate with delivering some of those blows. So that's just what's interesting to me is I would expect to see it at some point, where they get going against a team that's maybe a little bit down, or, it's later in the game, the other team's tired, and we start to put something together. That's really what I'm looking for.
You're giving me flashbacks of the Jaguars offense.
Yeah. I think it's what everybody wants to see with Drake, though. Is I want to see Drake May with a complementary
functional
run game.
running
And
game.
what does that look like? We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I share your opinion that I don't think today on the road, I just don't see that this being a great prescription for success in that. But
no,
we shall see.
Especially not with Tavondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons.
Right, back to the phone lines at 855-PATS-500, and let's check in with Dussault in Virginia. Good morning, Dussault. You're next on the Patriots Pregame Social, fueled by Duncan.
Good morning, guys. How you guys doing?
Good morning. Great. How about yourself?
Great. I'm hearing all the confidence that a lot of the guys have in the team beating the Titans, but you understand is that regardless of how beat up the Titans are or whatever, the Patriots are really, really atrocious when it comes to their talent. That's why I'll be all for them trading guys like Duggar and Josh, all the other guys, because I'm actually all for the plan of chasing these guys to try to get at least decent compensation back. So that way that they can have as many picks as possible, and also to include the draft to try to take care of all their needs, because they're going to have money to do so. To take care of some of these needs, like get 2 tackles, possibly. Try to get a bona fide number 1. Trying to get some better linebackers guys who can cover. So when I look at a guy like Duggar, he's overrated to me because he can't cover. And I want guys that can cover out in space as well as defend the run. But I know those guys are kind of rare, but those kinds of guys I'd be looking forward to try to get. So I will actually be all for them trading these guys to try to get at least decent compensation back so that we can have many picks as possible to take care of our needs along with free agents.
Good call, Dussault. Thank you very much. And he brings up an interesting point. I think some of the flaws in Kyle Duggar's not a perfect player, but I think in Gerard Mayo's mind, as he's trying to build a program, that's kind of a foundational guy. He's on the roster. So rather than bring in somebody else from somebody else's team, let's keep this guy around and see if we can build around him despite some of the flaws that he might have.
Yeah, there's no question. There's still, I think, a lot of room for his game to grow. And, to be honest, I kind of agree with what Dussault said generally. I mean, that's all the safeties kind of look similar to me, and I'd almost include
in type
Peppers in that, even though his future is really up in the air. I'd like to have some more speed on the back end. And it's something we've always kind of talked about. And a new guy comes in and you wonder immediately, is this the Deron Harmon? Is this the free safety type? And I just wonder at a certain point if we're going to get to this offseason with how this defensive season has gone and they say, you know what, we can't have 5 strong safeties. Like, we need to kind of evolve a little bit. I assume Duggar's going to be part of this, but if Peppers is not, I would like to see them really go get somebody who can run on the back end to what Dussault was saying.
Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots. Back from his show is Paul Perillo, and I wanted to tee him up with saying that what an opportunity for the Patriots today, Paul, when they take on Tennessee in Tennessee at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. And thank goodness they are not saddled with the monstrosity of a contract that the Titans bestowed on Calvin Ridley. They are lucky, Paul. That's Matt Smith saying that. They are lucky. And I want to know what your thought was on that.
Yeah. My thought is the Patriots receiver corps dropped more passes last week's game than Calvin Ridley has in his career.
That's it.
We've argued about this off the air. I know what you're going to try to get me into a Fredism. 10 for 143 I mean, how many guys do we have that even have that in the season?
There'd be a parade. There'd be a parade if that happened in a game.
That's Jalen Polk's season right there.
Yeah, I mean,
it's 10 catches. So.
And as everybody predicted at the time, that contract doesn't look so bad anymore, because about 8 guys signed since then that blew it away, and he's not at that level. He's not at the Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, even Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's not at that level, so that's why he's not paid at that level.
Right. The only
he's
thing
paid
is
significantly less than those guys.
As you know, I was trying to tease at that point in time,
I
but Tamara and Mike will give me probably the game of when this happened. What soured me on Calvin Ridley, and I think it was a good swing to go after him, and it didn't happen for a lot of reasons: wife, girlfriend, state taxes, stuff like that. It was after one of the dreadful losses that the Titans had, where he was in the locker room and just went on a profanity-laced tirade about how he's not getting the ball and they're not doing this for him or they're not doing that for him. If you're going to make that kind of money, call me old school. I want somebody who's going to be a little bit more, we've got to do this. We need to do a better job rather than pointing fingers.
I will call you old school. The Patriots wide receiver core just did that without the profanity.
Good point.
Last week.
They've been called out on that, though.
Absolutely.
As they should.
But, I don't think anybody's saying, oh, my God, got to get rid of all these guys.
No.
Thank God we have them.
I didn't say get rid of. I said just be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I
all.
just think that you're just completely, and you do this with a lot of different guys. Like, if the second-tier guys to you are not very good.
Right.
Like, and
you mean future Patriot T. Higgins.
Yeah, I don't think there's much of a shot of that happening. But those guys are really good players. Mm-hmm. And I just had a stat on my other show that, and I don't know the numbers now because I glossed over. If Evan was listening, he probably would have understood everything. But I believe Calvin Ridley leads the league in air yards per attempt in his direction, which tells me he's open all the time, and those two stiffs can't get him the ball.
That's a good stat.
Maybe if it was Drake May throwing the ball, we'd be looking. I do not look at that as a bullet dodged. I think that he would be the number one guy, and I think the guys behind him would be so much better. Demario Douglas as a 3 or a 4 instead of the 1. Jalen Polk as the 4 instead of the 2, and maybe now Kayshon Boutte. Like, I think that's how you. I think you have a bunch of guys who can be a part of a good receiving core.
You need a really good one.
They are the receiving core, and it's not good enough.
Right. I think that's a really good point. I think I would question whether Calvin Ridley is the guy that you want to be, looking over the rest of the wide receiver room.
I'll tell you what I would do is, ideally, I would have signed Calvin Ridley, and he'd be my 1 this year, and then I would get a 1 to be over him. So Ridley is my 2.
Yeah.
That's when you have a good receiving core.
Yep, that's fair. That's fair.
He's on a bad team, and like all wide receivers, they don't like when they're on bad teams. That's why you see what was the most traded position. Like Cooper goes, Hopkins goes, Deontay Johnson goes, because that position can be a pain for a losing team.
855-PATS-500 is the number. Let's go to Tim in Brimfield, Massachusetts. Good morning, Tim. You are part of the Patriots Social, fueled by Duncan. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. I just wanted to talk about today's game. I'm looking at this game. I mean, they got a bunch of big bodies. I mean, as unheralded as they may be, they can put up front. I think today they got to put those big bodies, get them up front, get the backers up, and maybe cheat some of the safeties. I know we don't have, obviously, Peppers and Duggar, but I don't know how good of tacklers those other safeties are. But I think they got to make them prove it, running the ball and, just see what they can do passing it. I don't see, I think they kind of did that in the Jets game. And I think it's something they should really look at. I mean, they do have some big guys up there that they can jam the middle up, and their backers are capable. I mean, the linebackers aren't, the good ones are pretty much hurt, but you still have some good tacklers back there. I think if they make them prove it in the air, I think we have a good chance of winning. Thanks.
All right, Tim, thanks for the phone call. I think he's advocating maybe a little stack the box against the Titans.
Sure.
I
don't have any problem.
Wouldn't you try to see if you can stop him in base first? I mean, we're not talking, it's not Sayers and, and O.J. Simpson back there.
I would dare him to throw the ball, and that's how you're going to take it.
Right.
Yeah. I kind of agree with Tim. Don't let Tony Pollard get anything and make them throw it, and then they're going to turn it over.
I try to make a lot of use of Tony Pollard in the passing game. I try to get him in
That's the
space
mismatch
against the Patriots linebackers.
I'm with you on that.
That's a spot I think I'd try to target.
Yeah.
No, I'm just talking about the Patriots defense going against that. I would make them throw it.
What do you think about Christian Gonzalez up against him? Ridley?
That'd be fine.
Fine?
They don't have anybody to throw the ball to Ridley, so I'm not worried about Ridley in this game.
and will it be as simple as Tamara says? I mean, or is that just part of the recipe? Where Gonzalez it's not like they're going to say to Gonzalez, "You've got Ridley. See you later. We'll talk to you after the game." Right?
They haven't really done that yet.
Correct. Right. And so I think that's one thing. Mike Reese had some interesting stats about him today in his well-respected Sunday Notes column, where there hasn't the passing yards against Gonzalez. Now, again, how do we track that? Do we know what the coverage was on that? Is it man versus zone? But Gonzalez's numbers for a guy who's played 12 games in the National Football League are pretty good.
So Mike Reese has, according to NFL Next Gen Stats, Gonzalez has allowed a 53.2 completion percentage when he is the nearest defender, which is third best in the NFL, and he has allowed 5.4 yards per target as the nearest defender, which is second best in the league.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think Ridley's a good matchup today. I mean, let's see.
Gonzalez is really good. I mean, I just, I didn't break out the parade the second he rolled out in training camp, but he continues every week to just impress me with his he's not the most physical guy, but I think he's highly competitive, and I just think we got ahead of ourselves a little bit in crowning him last year because it was such a small sample size.
Sure.
But I've allowed him some room to grow this year, and I continue to be impressed with him. What would it look like if he had a pass rush on the defense? I just think he's one of the key pieces right now, but he's kind of alone with this defense. There's not a lot of guys who are really making a plus impact. I think he's holding his own despite some of the holes that have popped up on defense.
Paul, I don't want to call you skeptical on Christian Gonzalez, but I think you're also been a more of a prove it to me kind of a guy. Do you feel like as we're now 8 weeks through that he is proving it to you?
I just don't see them playing a lot of matchup man-to-man. I thought they played more last week. I thought last week was his best game of the year. I thought, it wasn't perfect, but I thought last week was his best game of the year. I haven't seen them play that much man. Now, you probably have numbers that tell me that I'm way wrong. Because I don't go back and watch the games. But I have no problem with Christian Gonzalez. I think he's a good, solid player. I just don't think he's Darrelle Revis, and that somehow makes me skeptical of him. But that's all. I think he's a really good player. And I think what Mike said, too, the fact that he has to do it kind of by himself makes him even more impressive. They don't have a lot of pressure on the passer. They don't have a lot of other guys that can cover, especially with Jonathan Jones dealing with so many, physical limitations. I think I don't have really any worries about Christian Gonzalez. I think he's been solid.
David in Madrid, Spain, changing topics. Do you guys believe they will use Layden Robinson as the sixth offensive lineman in a jumbo package like they used to with Caden Wallace at the beginning of the year? Also, if they trade Thornton and Osborne, what would you get for Thornton, by the way? Would you guys consider maybe adding Chase Claypool? That would be a hard no for this person right here.
Hard no for me, too.
Is he a free agent, a big X receiver, and maybe he can revamp his career here? Hope to hear from you guys in Go Pats. Hard no on Claypool. No. He's a nut job, isn't it? How many teams has this guy played on already?
No. Play the young guys. Talent, come out, figure out Javon Baker this year. Give him the opportunities. So when we get into camp next year, you have a real sense of how Polk lines up, how Baker lines up. Is Douglas more than just what he's been? Can we, expand his role at all? Those are the guys that are going to play today are the guys I want to know about. So that's what I'm.
If you're going to buy a receiver, because there was that report last week, Josina Anderson had that the Patriots are interested in buying at the deadline as well. And if you're going to buy a receiver, you got to find sort of a young guy who's kind of not been utilized as much, maybe with another team.
Example, please, if you have one.
With the Giants, Jalen Hyatt is a guy I threw out there on the other show, who is more of a home run threat, but hasn't really had a lot of opportunities this year. Neighbors has definitely put him on the back burner. And then Chris Gasper on that show also brought up Darius Slayton, who's a guy who can stretch the field a little bit and has been reasonably productive. Those kinds of guys, I'd be interested. Like Chase Claypool.
Absolutely not.
Retread.
He
Jag.
He's a Notre Dame guy, too.
But he can't run.
Right.
No, she doesn't
like,
want him.
if he could run, I would take him. Like, but I don't think
like,
he can
can't
run.
but he went to Notre Dame, so I'm interested.
Right.
So he might have said Virginia Tech at some point.
So, Paul, I want to explore something that you touched on, which I think is a really smart point that you made, and that's when you're buying a wide receiver. When you talked about Ridley, you said you wanted to pair Ridley with somebody else. And to me, if you're going to attack the wide receiver position, that's the way to do it. Like if Jamar Chase isn't available, Justin Jefferson isn't available, if you're going to overpay for a guy like Higgins, who can you pair Higgins with so you've got kind of a dynamic duo at the top of that position?
Like ideally, I think you want to have the guys that you have be like 3s and 4s. So if you can get one now, that's one less receiver you'd have to find in the offseason, whether it be the draft or free agency or whatever. That's why I'd be interested in if something like that presented itself. Same with tackle. You know, did we bring up the Cam Robinson trade? Like, I think that's a trick. Now, listen, I understand what Minnesota's doing. They lost Dussault. They're 5-2. They think they're in the playoff hunt. That was a desperate need for them.
Yep.
Right? So they went out and they made a move. I would have definitely been interested in trading for Cam Robinson.
Because you're not buying at the highest point at that point in time, right?
Well, no, but I mean, you're not none of these guys are going to cost you like stuff that
I didn't articulate it.
Like Cam Robinson's not Jonathan Ogden. Like, I'm not trying to say like, oh, this was a lost opportunity, but it's sort of a guy with experience who's played left tackle, who you can put over there now, so you're not totally reliant on Vederian Lowe's sketchy health. And then you can help Drake May for the last 9 games. You have plenty of money, so you could pay his contract. I would have been interested in that deal. Again, I know Minnesota had more desperation than you did to do it, so I get why you went to the Vikings. But those kinds of players, like, you know, everybody brings up the Washington defense, Montez Sweat, that went to Chicago last year. You never really know until those guys move. And then you're like, oh, man, I didn't realize he was available. But Elliott Wolf, that's what they need to do. They need to know those guys.
Yeah.
Right. Is he that much better, Paul, at a position that you're going to probably invest in the offseason than what you have, injuries notwithstanding, than Lowe? Is he significantly better, you know, in factoring in having to give up something to acquire him?
Yeah, but I mean, I'll give up a 5th-round pick.
Okay.
That's fine. I'm not telling you, he like I said, he's not Jonathan Ogden.
Right.
But I have another guy who's played left tackle. Like, Vederian Lowe is basically all you got.
Stopgap.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can make an argument that Cam Robinson's not as good as Vederian Lowe. I'm not Dante. Like, I'm not evaluating, you know, every down of Cam Robinson, but they've been in dire straits at various points this year at that position. And Vederian Lowe's played about half the games.
Right.
So I'm looking for someone who I think, you know, can plug in and play left tackle.
Right, wrong, or indifferent, there's a positive vibe around Vederian Lowe when you talk to his teammates and you talk to the staff. I think everybody's, you know, they like the way this guy approaches the game and everything. Again, he's also not Anthony Munoz, as Paul brings up, but I think that there's a determination, team-oriented kind of a guy that everybody likes, that this guy has sort of bought in and will try to fight through injuries even though he's been injured and wants to help the team.
Yeah,
you know?
that's what's the hard part, I think, of the injuries is, I mean, as Paul mentioned, that's I think been the biggest problem. You haven't really been able to truly evaluate what he can be as a player because he's in, he's out, he's in, he's out. I mean, I saw him in the locker room this week. He's got a shoulder all bandaged up. He's got a giant knee brace on. I mean, he's been
he's trying to
beat
play
to crap this year, and he continues to try. So he's a really likable guy, and that's
earns the respect,
hard.
Mike.
Yeah,
right?
because sometimes these players become like a punchline, and I feel like that's, you know, people who don't even really watch it all that much. Like he's terrible, and he's an example of everything that's wrong. And you know, meanwhile, he's a really self-critical, hardworking guy that the coaches really have a lot of respect for. But again, as Tamara said earlier, we're getting him back out there now. We're getting this group starting to see them a little bit. I think he's an athletic guy. I don't know really if he's, you know, a long-term solution, as was kind of hinted at this week, but when you're so desperate for tackles, as many teams in the league are right now, if you have one guy that develops and can be solid for you, who's under contract next year, and maybe he does hopefully kick back to a swing tackle role or something next year, but as we're seeing this year, you always need depth at the tackle position.
Right. He's miscast here in New England right now. He might not be a starting left tackle, but he might be a guy that you want in your offensive lineman room. That is that swing tackle that he can play a couple different positions. That's the kind of guy you want on your team and in that room.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they've got a few of those guys, and now it's just a question of, okay, you've been saying you need continuity. You've been saying, all right, now you're starting to get a little of that continuity. So can we open up some holes in the run game? Can we continue this quality pass protection? And again, just to stress it, I really look up the middle today with the size that they have with Simmons and Sweat. Those guys are really going to be a challenge for the interior of the Patriots offensive line. Ben Brown, I know, has gotten some praise for stepping in there and doing a pretty solid job, but he's got a really, really tough task today with those two big guys in the middle.
855-PATS-500, the number. Fidel from Tampa, Florida. You're next on the Patriots pregame social, fueled by Duncan. Good afternoon, Fidel.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Great. How are you?
Doing good. I had 2 points I wanted to talk real quick about. One on the game and one on the topic you guys just had earlier. On the game-wise, I honestly see them having no problem running the ball down the throats, especially with our defensive line already in shambles. And without Kyle Duggar in the box, I really don't think our first or second level will be able to limit them. So I really expect a big day from Tony Pollard against us, unfortunately. And on the second thing, on the wide receiver talk you guys are talking about, I really think No Socks here really wrong on this. Reason why is like, for a wide receiver to be a diva, you want them to be divas. You want them to want the ball. You want them to be vocal. Like, if you called Odell Beckham Jr. a diva in 2013 because he was the best receiver in the game at that point. Right now, he's not performing. He's injured. You don't really hear from them. So they know when their value and they're going to be good on the field, they'll express it. If I would trade every receiver I had for a diva Malik Neighbors or a diva Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, because I know the weapon and I know the output they're going to put on the field. It's worth the extra quote or two in the papers or in the news, to me, honestly.
Love the phone call, Fidel. Thank you very much. Love being called out on that. We can agree to disagree, and I would point to, what has Odell Beckham ever won? He really wasn't there. I know he had a nice party out in the boat with the Giants. That was a pretty good time that he had with the Giants, wasn't he? On
I wish there was some way I mentally could have just used telepathy to tell Mike that I would put everything I own on the table that Matt will counter with, Odell Beckham stinks too.
I didn't say he stunk.
But you want no part of it.
I'm not interested in him.
You're a little Felger-like, and you're anti-talent.
No, an incorrect statement. Justin Jefferson, yes, please. Jamar Chase, probably, please.
Probably.
Yeah.
That says all I need to know.
I just don't know that you're ever going to get it.
So arguably the greatest wide receiver of the generation is the only guy that you're all in 100%.
No,
Justin Jefferson. That's
case
it.
by case basis, Paul.
Well, is it wrong that like admiring what the Bucs have done with Evans and Godwin and being able to hold on to those two guys? Is that wrong?
No,
because that's what I'm sick of.
Godwin is more of a guy like Matt's talking about.
Draft and develop, right?
Mike Evans is a stud.
Yes. Yep.
Diva.
Yes.
Like, demands the ball, has a hamstring pull every 3 weeks. Oh, and by the way, does nothing but post 1,000-yard seasons on his way to the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll guarantee you that not everybody would say, because there's a lot of people like Matt. I'm in the minority. Like, there's a lot of people like Matt, like, give me Julian Edelman.
No. Please don't pick his.
I'll take that diva any day of the week. Yeah. Now, there can be guys that take it too far. And I think Buffalo moving on from Diggs, for all the reasons that you've always said, Mike, you and I have always teased each other over Diggs. But Buffalo moving on from Diggs when they did, I think, was perfect. Because now he's no longer that guy, but he's going to continue to act like that guy, and now it's disruptive to the rest of the room.
Help me out on one that's a little bit more close to home for yours truly here. Did they move on from Moss at the right time?
Probably about a year and a half too late.
Okay.
But, yeah.
They got the best out of Moss.
They got one
One
year
year
out
on the
of
best.
Moss.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I don't
double
know about
figures
the, I
of
don't know
touchdowns
about
the
the, I
next
don't know
year,
about
didn't he?
the, I don't know about the best out of Moss. Like Minnesota Moss was. Like,
No.
unbelievable.
I mean the best. He had a great year.
But re-upping him now gives him the power, and I think his effort was in question. Like
after you paid him, is that your point?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very similar to Corey Dillon.
Yep.
I would say that I wouldn't have those arguments with like a guy like Diggs. Like I never questioned his effort. Beckham, I would.
Yeah.
Odell Beckham, I questioned his effort at times.
You know what? I think I'm just sick of. We need T. Higgins. That's the only answer for the. We got to go get T. Higgins.
Well, forget that because that ain't happening. So,
but just
why do you think,
that's all it is now.
Why do you say that, Paul?
Is they ain't coming here.
Everybody is obsessed with other teams' free agent wide receivers, and I agree with you that there's 3 or 4 that I absolutely would love to have.
Names, please.
But Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, there's a handful of them. But I'm so sick of. Every year we spend coveting other people's wide receivers as if there's no way possible for them to ever acquire any receiver that's a number one without having to get somebody else's team.
But there is a way, but they
else.
just haven't been able to do it.
No.
Oh, I understand that completely, but we spend how many hours do we spend talking about T. Higgins as if is that guy really the T. Higgins?
I don't believe
really
so.
the answer?
I do not believe so.
I mean, is there?
Well, what's the question?
The question is, why do we always have to covet other teams' wide receivers? Why can't
Because
we
you
just
can't
cover them
draft
developing? But this is a new regime. Why is it too much to ask?
Good
receivers get drafted every single year, and so why wasn't Mike Evans traded at some point? Why did Tampa Bay hang on to him? Like, why can't we want to draft a Mike Evans and hold on to him, and then we go from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield, and we've got ones in place instead
I would
of
love
sitting
to do that.
Looking at anybody who's good on another team
I
and
would
being
love
like,
to do that.
oh,
We
God,
swung
please
and
come
missed.
to New England.
Like that was N'Keal Harry. We swung and missed.
And Keel. I'm going to get to
I would love to do that. I would much rather draft my own guy and develop him. They haven't shown the ability to do it.
For sure.
And it's not looking good.
This is Joe who writes in, I don't think anyone should think Gonzo is Revis, but he very reasonably looks like he's trending towards being as good as Patrick Patterson or Aqib Talib. Is that fair? Paul.
It's a different player than Talib to me.
Aqib Talib's a pretty good player.
He's not as good as Patrick Peterson, certainly in his prime. But Aqib Talib, I'm going Patriots Aqib Talib. Yeah, I see some similarities there.
Okay.
Like kind of tall, angular, fluid, athletically. I like Talib as a Patriot.
Talib was a more physical guy.
No
like
question.
every time I see Gonzalez, I just think,
think
that's
Gonzalez,
a Lamborghini. That's a Lamborghini.
I think Gonzalez can be better than Talib as a
know.
Patriot. I thought Talib was a little up and down, and I think Gonzalez is more steady.
That's encouraging, Paul. As you look at our pregame feed from the field in Tennessee and Nash Vegas, there's Drake May. He's going to play today, everybody. That's a reason to hope for about in 50 minutes to take a look at it. And speaking of which, Matt, let's get to the over-unders, please.
It's time for this week's edition of Over-Unders.
All right, Paul, you're Johnny Stats. I know you like to get to the stats. Why don't you give everybody what they've been waiting for and the season cumulative stats to date?
Paul was 5-1 last week. No Sox 4-2. Mike 3-3. Standings as follows: Paul 31-17. No Sox 27-21, and Mike
a comfortable
25-23.
first place lead for Mr. Perillo.
Correct.
So let's have you start with the first stat, and I'm going to say that these are brought to you by DraftKings. The Patriots pregame show is brought to you by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. As we're looking at number 10, Drake May on the stream, the first stat. Drake May passing yards, 197 and a half. Mr. Perillo.
So I am up now. Is this another announcement that I missed that he is starting?
I think that was.
What I think the announcement was he's cleared to play.
Cleared
Correct.
And he will start. I think was what
okay.
So that was
said.
so that's it. Okay, over.
So you just wanted that confirmation.
Well, I don't know if he was going to play. Like he
Okay.
didn't practice all week.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
But it was announced. I, for whatever reason, I do not get correspondences on weekends. I don't know why.
I didn't get anything either.
I don't know why. So I always assume that I'm missing some information.
And
I am.
That's
because
it.
you said that.
I think it was just Schefter.
That's an off-air topic for conversation, Paul. I will join you in the over brigade for Drake May passing yards. Michael.
Under.
Okay. Next, Mason Rudolph passing TVs at 1.5. Mike.
I'll go under on that one.
I will take the under as well.
3 for 3. Drake May's longest completion, I'll lead us off. The number is at 33.5. I'm going to go under on that today.
I'm going to stick with my trends until I lose. I will take the over.
Okay.
I'm going to go on the under on this one, too.
Total touchdowns in the game, 3.5. 3.5. That's an interesting. These guys are smart to put these lines together, huh? 3.5. Paul.
I'll take the over.
Me too.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna just keep my trend going on the unders. I'm gonna go low scoring game. I got the under on that one too.
Okay, here's an interesting one that DraftKings provided us with on the over-under segment. Matt Smith messes up the six-pack order. The number
DraftKings has got that line
is 1.5.
That's interesting. People are betting that one. I bet.
As a sponsor that they're checking in, I like that. I can feel that. I can feel that. 1.5 on the six-pack order.
As the guy,
how many errors?
As the guy who's leading the over/under, how are we determining a mess up?
Oh, we'll know.
Okay, we'll just know. Then I'm taking the over.
Yeah,
I'm going over too.
That's 3 for 3. That's a gimme, I think, don't you think? Now, the only question is, and here's where we get into the integrity of the rules.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Can I on purpose mess up? See, I think I can go over.
You'll forget, Matt.
No, I think I can go over easily without doing it.
See, now.
If I put my thumb on the scale, then I'd get really bad.
I know you take offense when Mike and I bring up Hardy, but what Hardy would have done is he would have made us go, hopes that we took the same thing, taken the opposite, and then rigged it.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's only one Rob Poole and one Hardy, and I ain't him. He's the best. Last but not least is the total score today of 38.5. 38.5 is a number for the score, Michael.
Yeah, that's a little high for my blood.
Fight.
I'm gonna go under.
Mike Dussault says
I'm
under.
Fight Mike Dussault today. I don't feel great about this being a highly enjoyable game to watch.
I am going to join Mike Dussault in an under for that number.
Yeah, I'll make it unanimous. I have the under as well.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to be a rock fight, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well. All right. Let's see if we've got a little call that we can get to. Let's go to Eldred on the line. Eldred, good afternoon. You're next on the Patriots Pregame Social. Fueled by Duncan. Good afternoon, Eldred.
Ooh.
Good afternoon, everybody. How y'all doing?
Great.
Paul.
Sir.
Thank you, man. Took you 15 years to come around to my side of thinking about the wide receiver. But it took you that long, but I'm glad you finally got there.
No.
And no socks, he's wrong. But Paul, I like your take on Jalen Hyatt from New York.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one. Young guy, developed with Drake, and he does have the speed. Because it's one of the guys I wanted the other year when he came out, but nobody said, I don't think he's just a one-trick pony in Tennessee, but he can run some routes too.
He kind of is a one-trick pony, but
Hyatt?
Yeah, but
Really.
I'll take the trick. I think the trick is badly lacking out of this offense, and I think with Drake May, his ability to get it downfield.
Yes.
So your speed guy is inactive today.
Yeah. Well. Speed guy on paper.
No. Well, okay.
He just can't catch. He ain't doing something right with the route. He should be starting. He just can't catch or something.
Who are we talking about?
Thornton.
Thornton.
Oh,
Thornton.
no. Yeah,
Thornton.
No.
He just. You know what? I really think he don't want to be here. Because you got the opportunity to be the number one. I really think he don't want to be here, to be honest with you.
Right. Well, Eldred.
You got all the ability.
Yeah, thank you very much for the phone call. As we're looking at the wide receivers, and there he is. There's your boy, Mike, Jalen Polk.
Yeah. Excited.
Looks like he's out in pregame warmups with a lot of energy.
Good energy.
Good energy.
Oh, look at
Nothing like gauging the energy in the pregame warmups.
How come we don't dance during the pregame show? I mean, these guys all dance pregame. I think we should dance.
We should work that in next week.
I agree. That's not a bad.
I'm glad that Matt was looking at you when that was going on, because I'm going to guess that all of that dancing was not. I don't like that enthusiasm.
No.
These diva receivers, I don't like it.
Now you're
I don't like it.
You're painting with the broad brush.
Excitement, athleticism, enthusiasm. Don't like it. Don't care for it.
Incorrect.
I want it buttoned down pregame. We should be thinking about our assignments.
Right. There's something to be said. You know what, though?
I'm just teasing you. Why are you getting all mad at me?
There is something to be said about the Troy Brown approach, though. You know, there is something to be said for that.
Did Troy Brown put his hand over his head as he was running into the end zone in overtime in Miami?
It's a hell of a game.
Oh, did he?
I don't know. Who was jumping up and down more, Troy Brown or
Celebration.
Steve
Celebration before he got in the end zone.
Yeah, at least he remembered to carry the ball over the goal line, unlike all of your heroes today, Paul.
All of my heroes?
Yes.
So now Malachi Corley is one of my heroes?
Absolutely. Speed guy, diva, doesn't know enough to carry the ball over the goal line.
Not really a speed
He's like
guy.
a poor man's Debo.
I like him
coming out.
Yeah, he's like a powerful slot, little powerful slot guy.
But by the way, the thing that just makes that play just so bad on so many different levels. That was a really well-designed play, and it was a good run by. I mean, the kid had
I'll take your
nothing
word for
but
it.
daylight.
Didn't see one play of that game.
Yeah.
I was listening on the radio.
I might not see another play of a Thursday night game the rest of the year.
I was kind of interested in the Jets. I think the Jets are an interesting national story because of what's going on, and I had this never happens where I actually have a thought and I'm right about it, but I felt very strongly that if I had discernible income to put in a legal gambling situation, which I can't do,
understood.
I loved the Jets on Thursday night because of the spot. Banged up Houston on the road Thursday night.
I didn't realize all those guys weren't playing. I got caught with my pants down as usual.
The Jets, that's usual. Had to have it. Picks. Had to have it in that game,
but they played like crap.
No, and but the other teams just they didn't. Play
I didn't know
very well.
that. I didn't know that they were missing that much. No, that you.
What else were they
missing
missing besides Diggs and?
The whole defense.
The whole defense was out.
Yeah, I mean Diggs and
picked the
Collins
Jets,
and they still did nothing. I mean, really, if you look at the Jets' success, was like 2 unbelievable catches by Garrett Wilson.
Right.
Like prayers. 3rd and 19.
By the way, there's a diva I might want to get behind, Paul. He's pretty good.
He bitches about not getting the ball.
But he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Shout out
I'll
Sailor.
take him.
Sailor Murphy there, working hard there on the field, getting the shots.
I missed it.
Hunter Henry.
She looks cozy. Sailor is cold a lot. You can
there
see
she
there.
is.
She's got the shorts
The
going.
red
so
hat.
Usually bundled up. If it's below 80 degrees, she's bundled up. So I guess the temperature must be satisfactory for
Sailor. She likes us calling her out on the pregame.
78 and sunny. 78 and sunny. I think that's that outfit is befitting of the day.
There you go.
You know?
There you go. Not a weather game, but.
No, didn't they? Yeah, no, that was a preseason game that we played. It was like stifling hot, right?
Yeah,
we were down there for practice.
2019, we were down there for practice.
That was hot.
That was you stepped out of the car and it was just instantly accept that you're going to be drenched in sweat from about 3 seconds outside on for the rest of the day.
Don't forget, last year was the rare back-to-back road games where Bill decided we're going to stay on the road for the entire time between Green Bay and Tennessee. Kid Bolden got hurt in the Green Bay game, and I think a check ahead at looking at the weather in Tennessee saw 100, 102, and 100, and they were beat up at the time anyway.
Yeah.
And I think Bill wisely decided to pull the plug at that point in time. Says, we're going to go down there, we're going to get massacred even more.
Yeah.
You know? They came back, regrouped, and it was hot when we were down there last year for sure.
Yeah, that was on the heels of the Green Bay joint practice, which was a lot of fun. But, yeah, see Daniel Quale there, see if he's able to get back out there. I thought they did okay without him. He's been a little up and down this year, I'd say, but played well a couple weeks ago.
He's in a bad spot, Mike. Another one of those guys that are in a bad
but
spot.
one of those guys that, you say, look, this isn't usually what you thought his role was going to be, but I think he's been okay. I mean, like the offensive line, they just need this group to all come together and put together a good all-around game. And on defense, I think it's critical today. You can't let these guys move the ball and score points on you.
At 2-6, and I think this is a big part of Gerard's program building year. He's got to have that little piece of paper and that pencil going. Who are the guys that he says, let's get this guy signed up? I don't mean that literally, but we can go to war with these guys, Vederian Lowe is a guy that I'd want to have on the program. Daniel Aquale, I know we kind of chirped a little bit, Paul. You pointed that out a couple weeks ago. But I think Daniel Aquale...
I didn't say he was wrong, though.
Yeah, Daniel Aquale in a different role where you're not asking him to play 70+% of the snaps, he's the kind of a guy that's a good rotational player. I'd want the kind of guy like that on my team.
Yeah.
I just don't want to play in 70% of the snaps.
No, you think he'd be an interior rusher kind of type that could come on passing downs. But, yeah, I mean, these are the games that... we talked a lot this offseason about what does success look like, and we've compared it to the 94 Patriots season where they, won the last 5 games in a row, and you started to feel, am I correct, Paul? Correct on this? I know I've had some mess-ups on my mid-90s trivia
year?
this week. 94, right?
93.
93. See, I'm all
washed
up.
Last 4 games.
So
1-11, finished 5-11.
These are the games, though, that you have an opportunity to win, where if you want to start to build some of those feel-good momentum, end-of-season kind of stuff where, hey, we beat some of the top 5 teams that are picking in the top 3. We weren't one of those teams. We were beating those teams as we came down the stretch.
So I'll give you the storyline for next week. I like to give you the narratives ahead of time.
Yes, please.
So if the Patriots win this game today, that moves them to 3-6. You get a lot of 94 talk.
Okay.
Way too soon for that.
The 94 Patriots were 3-6, and then they won their last 7.
Yeah. Great pictures coming to us from Nashville, where Jerod Mayo is walking amongst his troops, giving them a little encouragement as they're warming up, getting loose for the game against the Tennessee Titans. So kickoff in about maybe 35 minutes. I like seeing Jerod doing this. I like seeing him going up to everybody and getting involved and checking to see if people are ready and bringing some energy himself to try to get the team energized. I like that a little bit.
I like it. I mean, I think as a former player, this is a time where, you kind of feel the pregame jitters a little bit. This is close.
His lieutenant's right with him, too, as you see from behind. Hi, 54. Doing the same thing. I like that.
Right. Same thing for him, too. They got to miss it still. You got to miss that juice on game day. Not getting to go out there and hit somebody. You got to just coach guys. Not as fun.
Nice shot there at Drake May as he's going through his pregame warm-ups and trying to get loose and everything like that. Mike Dussault calling out early in the show that this is a pressure game for Drake May. That is there going to be a lot placed on his shoulders and to make the offense go so that the Patriots have a shot today. It's an interesting storyline to watch, Mike.
I think so. I mean, I don't know. You wake up, you get a vibe some days, and just the way the week lined up, this defense and, the narrative of this being a 1-win Tennessee team and just not quite giving the full respect, I think, due to the Tennessee defense and some of the pieces that they have that just can be a problem for a rookie quarterback. I think anytime you're going into any game with a rookie quarterback, as we learned in 2021, learning now, sometimes it's a little bit of a mixed bag. You don't know exactly what you're going to get. And, credit to Drake. His first 2 games showed really good progress. I think, the jury was still out on last week against the Jets, how exactly that game was going to unfold for him. But here we go. Now we pick it back up here in Tennessee on the road, and we'll see how he continues to progress.
What are your expectations, Paul, with Drake coming off a week where there wasn't a lot of reps, at least physical reps, probably in practice?
Yeah, it is a concern. I agree. I don't think enough was made of that. It's a guy who hasn't had a lot of starting experience, and now you're asking him to go through a week that he didn't have really any preparation time, on-field prep time. You're enacting the game plan physically, and mentally, I'm sure he took all the mental reps he needed to take and use, and studying and understanding, in the meetings and whatnot. But I am a little concerned about, maybe how the game starts. Hopefully they take the win last week. That lifts them. I know there was a lot of energy in the building all week. Maybe that lifts them and they get off to a fast start today. And we're not even talking about that in the post-game show as we're talking about a second win.
I wonder what we've seen with him sometimes is the sprays, the May sprays, that just random passes that all of a sudden are high usually. And those can't happen today. He can't have a May spray, overthrow somebody, and it's going the other way, with a pick. So those are consistency and mechanics is something without a real true physical week of preparation. I just wonder if he's going to be on point with his accuracy like he's going to need to be.
I didn't realize we had already dubbed that a May spray, Mike. That's kudos to you for doing that.
I'm working on that one.
As we're watching the pregame warm-ups in Nashville, let's get ready and do the Sunday six-pack, please, Matt.
This is the Sunday six-pack, so kick back and listen to my position. I'm itching to get the picks back. You better bring a big stack. Get it mixed, Jack. I came to win it, yeah, this is the Sunday six-pack.
So, Paul, I know you're going to go through the stats here for a second. I have a question about the stats. Does the fact that I picked the Jets in a closet by myself with nobody else listening to it against Houston on Thursday night, does that count anywhere in the stats?
Yeah, it gives you an attaboy.
Okay.
Mike and I give you an attaboy. We both picked Houston.
Okay.
I think you picked Houston.
No, I picked Jets, actually.
Oh, you picked now? Mike. Yeah. So Mike got it too. So you guys both get attaboys.
I'll take the attaboy. Can we add? We can't add that to the standings?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Against the rules?
No.
Okay. Let us know where we all stand, please.
We need it because the three of us collectively are struggling in the six-pack. Mike, congrats. Solid 3-3 week. You win the week. Paul 2-4. No socks. And uncharacteristic 1-5.
Yeah, I can barely pick my nose, let alone a game.
Yeah.
So that's why when I get one right, like the Jets game, that's why I got to pound my chest a little
Mike
bit.
leads the way at 23-23-2, followed by No Socks and I tied at 21-25-2. So we stink.
Yeah, I don't think DraftKings or any other kings would be hiring us to help out with their people at this point in time.
Who knew,
based on this resume? Yeah.
Who knew that the Patriots in the NFL at large were actually doing us a favor by not allowing us to gamble?
Yes. Excellent point. All right. Well, we got to pick them anyway, right, Matt? Is that what they say? We got to pick them? Okay. I was going to abstain, Matt, and that way it wouldn't affect my record going forward to next week, but Duty says we got to pick them, so we're going to pick them. 1 o'clock, the Miami Dolphins at 2-5 travel to Buffalo to take on the 6-2 Buffalo Bills. Buffalo is nearly a touchdown and extra point favorite at 6.5. I say this a little bit anecdotally. I saw some piece of nonsense this morning about this game that the great John O. Smith, that was a terrific signing by the Patriots a couple years ago. He's kicking the crap out of the city of Buffalo and their wings, and the wings stink. They're overrated. What does Buffalo know anyway? I don't know why that kind of nonsense kind of opens my eyes, but I like it. I'm here for it, and for that reason alone, give me the Bills in that game.
Bills. Yeah, I'm tempted with Miami. I feel like they're going to get back on track a little bit with some of their points. So the spread feels a little high to me, but I'm going to say Buffalo at home. I'll take them.
Yeah, I'll take Buffalo as well.
Next at 1 o'clock, one of the surprise teams in the National Football League, the 5-3 Sean Payton-led Denver Broncos, are going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens with a whopping line of 9.5. Baltimore coming off an embarrassing loss in Cleveland last week. Paul, kick us off, please.
So I will take the points here with Denver. I think Baltimore will win the game, but I think the Broncos' defense is pretty good, and I think that the Ravens' defense is pretty bad. So I think 9.5 is too many.
Michael?
Yeah, I rubber stamp what Paul just said. I think Broncos got a pretty good defense. Ravens just so mercurial on offense. Like I could see them just going off again, but I'm going to take Denver in the points, please.
And too big of a line to pass up. I will do the same. At 4 o'clock, it's the 4-3 Chicago Bears who are going to Arizona to take on the 4-4 Cardinals, who are giving 2 to the Bears. And I think the Cardinals' play is getting maybe lost a little bit in the national chatter. Their coach is doing a pretty good job, and my main man...
Jonathan Gannon.
No.
Oh.
Give me a former Patriot. Oh, my main man Monty Austinfort. They're doing a nice little job over there in Arizona. Building a little something maybe. Murray's
Small.
back post-injury.
Meep. Just running around.
I like Kyler Murray.
Anywho.
And I always have.
Michael, you can kick it off.
I'll take Arizona at home. I think the Bears still dealing with some mental fallout from that last second Hail Mary loss.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to take the Cardinals too for that reason. I like this game though. I like the matchup. I think not. I wouldn't call them good teams, but they're sort of rising teams. Sure. And I am curious to see how Matt Eberflus can get his team to respond because they had a lot of static in that locker room during the course of the week.
Will that kid guard Harrison, or will he chirp with the fans in Arizona, Mike?
Tyreek Stevenson.
No, I think no. He's got.
He will cover him.
He's got to cover. He's got it.
Okay. For the reasons already mentioned by my esteemed panel here, I will stay with the Cardinals as well. The game of the day, the 6-1 Paul Perillo's pick in the preseason, the Detroit Lions, going to Lambeau Field to take on the 6-2 Packers with a little bit of a banged-up Jordan Love. Detroit, on the road, is giving a field goal in this one. Mike?
Yeah, Jordan Love sounds like he's going to go, but Detroit is Detroit right now. I don't feel great about it just on the road, but I'm going to take Detroit. They're rolling.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that rain that I see at Lambeau. This is the Lions' first outdoor game.
Really?
Oh
my gosh.
I am going to take the Lions because I think they're better, but I am worried. I'm worried about the conditions and the fact that the Lions. And it's weird because when you say they're a dome team, they're an indoor team. You think finesse. You think aerial circus. Greatest show on turf.
That should translate, right? Yeah.
Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Peyton Manning, Colts. This is not a dome team. They play with power. They want to run the ball. They want to line up on 4th down and air hole you,
like their meathead coach.
But they don't play as well outdoors, and I'm going to go with the Lions here, but I could definitely see this going the other way.
Thank you for the weather report. That alone, because I love those kinds of abstract kind of things, intangible sort of things. Line me up with the Packers, if you would, please, Paul, in that one. Monday Night Football. The 4-4 Tampa Bay Buccaneers struggling a little bit. I know there's some people nationally who thought that they were a really, really good team. Go to Kansas City to take on the perfect Chiefs, who are 7-0. Another whopper of a line. The Chiefs are 9-point favorites, Paul.
Yeah, I'm going to lay the points in this one just because I don't think Tampa Bay has the horses to keep up without Evans and Godwin.
Deuce?
Yeah, I'll do the same. But I mean, that KC offense hasn't quite hit on all cylinders yet. But yeah, I'll do it. But I think it might be closer than that.
Because I'm down and I'm looking to try to find places to differ, Kansas City.
That's a hardy pick.
There you go.
Oh.
That's how it's done right there.
Well, so
you gotta play the game.
Kansas City's got a tough time giving 9 to anybody these days. They're still clearly the best team in football, but they're working through a bunch of things.
I would agree.
And you know what? They'll work through a bunch of things. They'll probably never really be threatened, and they're going to win by 6. You know?
Right. That's perfect.
And that's who they are.
Well,
that's who the
it's like
Chiefs are
last
right
week.
now. That's who they are.
They had that cover the whole fourth quarter, and then they let up a by the way touchdown at the end. And you look up, they don't cover.
Right.
Yeah. Very interesting piece. I want to give a shout out to Jeremy Fowler, who put a lot of work into it. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was on the Worldwide Leader page. Trying to compare the Chiefs in their dynasty and how the Patriots are built in their dynasty, and talking to different people. I thought it was a good piece.
I did read it. I just didn't. There was no there.
No.
Like, I didn't think there was any real. I was like, oh, and it's hard to continue to win, and this is why the Chiefs have been able to do it, and this is why the Patriots did it. So I needed more.
Yeah.
I found myself. I did. I read this. 'Cause I thought it was an interesting topic.
Yes.
And I just think it. And this is, I know people are going to be surprised. This is not like a criticism because I've had a million of those in the 25 years that I've been here. Like, what would be a good idea? X. And then I sit down to write X, and I'm like, I got nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that was a really good idea. And then he kind of sat down and wrote it, and there was kind of nothing there.
My reading comprehension skills aren't what they used to be, Paul, but I thought some of the things like who they choose to pay, how they choose to do it, trying to make sure that they're keeping up with the Joneses, because every other week another quarterback signs and passes Mahomes, but Mahomes still is getting more money than anybody else. But we're going to walk away from Tyreek Hill, and trade him. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but they haven't missed him yet, So I think that kind of stuff interested me, but who knows?
Yeah, no, I think that's valid, but that was it.
Okay.
Like, how, no one can keep every player, but, it's pretty easy. Like, you have a really good coach, and you have a really good quarterback.
And
as long as those two things are in place, you're really good every year. And then if you can do a good job in acquiring some pieces around, you're going to be great. And for a long time, Belichick was great at that. And then he wasn't.
Yeah, I thought
it just became just another one of those good teams.
Yeah, I think the relationship between Reed and their personnel evaluator, I'm going to butcher his name. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. How that they're like Reed and he have a great relationship, and they're really on the same page as far as how they're evaluating.
He knows what
kind
he
of player exactly.
Veach knows what Reed wants.
Right. So that leads us to the game of the day, at least here at this address, where the 2-6 Patriots travel to Nashville to take on the 1-6 Tennessee Titans. Tennessee, maybe to the surprise of some Patriot fans, are 3.5-point favorites. Michael.
Yeah, I could go either way on this game, to be honest. I felt pretty confident like the Patriots could win this week. But right now, as we get ready for kickoff, I feel like it's going to be a little tougher than maybe I thought it was going to be this week. I'm still going to go with the Patriots. I'm still going to go Patriots 2016. But I need Drake May to play well today. That's what I need. I worry if we come in here, we're going to talk about rookie game for Drake May. They couldn't quite get the running game going. He made a couple, fumble, a couple mistakes that just gave Tennessee enough to squeak out a game. I'm going to err on the side of positivity, though, as we're making predictions, and I'm going to say he's going to do enough today, 20-16 Patriots.
So a great Patriots watcher analyst, media personality Fred Kirsch once taught me, if you think there's a chance the Patriots are going to win,
right, yeah, that's a good
gosh
one.
darn it, you take the Patriots. And that's what I'm going to do. I
Yeah.
think the Patriots have every opportunity to win this game today. I don't think that they will be, dealing with one of these games where the other teams, what are you going to do? The Patriots played hard, they played tough, but the other team was just better. I don't think that's going to happen today. I don't think the other team is just better today. So I have a low-scoring kind of rock fight game, 16-12, New England.
First-year program head coach Brian Callahan for Tennessee. This is a tough spot for him to be in. They are going to expect, there aren't a lot of other 2-6 teams coming in against the 2-6 Patriots. Can they build some momentum off of last week's win where the coach called them soft the week before? Interesting spot for first-year head coach Jerod Mayo. I'm going to push my chips. I like the Patriots today because I think they're going to show this is going to be a keep building and stack them up kind of game. I like the Patriots to come from Tennessee, come back with another win. And Paul, you were talking about what did that win mean for the fans and the talk of the week. I think we're going to get a lot of draft pick chatter if the Patriots win, which is kind of nonsense, but I think that's what it'll be.
I think you're going to get there right back in it. Talk. I'm just going to tell you right now, this is what's going to happen. The path is going to exist by 4:15 this afternoon. I've done this before. It existed last year when Mac Jones can't remember who he threw it past to. When Mac Jones hit somebody, maybe Hunter Henry, I don't know. When Mac Jones threw a touchdown pass on the last play of the game to beat the Buffalo Bills,
yes.
the path. Was it Gesicki? Yeah. Okay. The path suddenly materialized. Do you recall?
By the way,
Mike, do you recall?
I do recall.
Great dance by Gesicki. Another very, very productive player, with the diva tight end and
Just
the
so
dance
you know,
and
he's
everything
been
like that.
productive everywhere he's played.
But here.
Other than the 1 year he played in New England. And
Correct.
that might have had something to do with the quarterback.
Yeah.
Right.
Just saying.
No.
Real quick, guys, just looks like another new offensive line. Maybe not new, but one we've seen before. Lowe, Jordan, Brown, Robinson at right guard, and Onwenu back out to right tackle according to warm-ups. So little share. I think they played with this one before, but Mike Onwenu back to
your
right
question.
tackle.
Tyreek Stevenson not in the starting lineup today for today's game.
Right.
Good move, I think, by Matt Eberflus.
They have to.
I think something he was as stand-up as you can be. I read the quote and I saw him deliver it. This is a guy that understands, man, did I do something really wrong to let down 52 guys in my locker room? I think he totally gets it. But you have to do something.
You have to.
You have to do something. I think. I mean, even if it's just not starting, as ceremonial as a play.
Yeah.
Something had to have.
So
same thing here as we look on at NFL Network that they flashed to the Colts situation with Anthony Richardson. Your quarterback asks out of the game because he's tired.
He was tired though.
He
Paul.
needs to sit the next game.
Right.
He needs to have something. I understand that that's a tough road to navigate when you have a young quarterback and the whole you don't want to take him out because it's hard to put him back. I don't believe in that. I think that Anthony Richardson could be fine in the future if he turns out that he has the ability to play at this level, which he has not demonstrated yet. The fact that he got taken out of the starting lineup is not going to derail his career. The fact that he has played 15 games in college and, everybody said that this guy would not be ready to play, yet they decided to play him immediately. He's not ready yet.
Where was he drafted again?
4.
Was it 4? Oof. Those are job-changing decisions.
But I think
to make
in
when
that
you
locker
draft
room,
somebody like that, and a guy taps out, and you decide. And I saw something earlier on NFL Network where they say it doesn't make no surprise. I think when they were making the decision, I think the players went into the coach and said, "We can't have a guy who's begging out. He can't be our quarterback."
And they had to do
for 90-year-old Joe Flacco. Imagine that.
But they're 4-4, so
they're in it.
They're in it, and they need to move on because they have enough veterans on that team. Jonathan Taylor and Pitt,
the center.
Yeah.
The guard.
all the linemen. Hey Quinn, all those guys. They deserve more.
Yeah.
So you had to make the move.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco coming in, 15 years after the 2009 playoff game. Crazy, that guy's still going.
It really is incredible. Well, It'll be an interesting one to see. Drake May, and this is his third professional start, correct?
Fourth, right?
Houston.
Fourth start.
Four-star.
The
Houston,
Jacksonville game. I know
Jets.
I want to. 4-star. So this.
So
is,
just a little bookkeeping. I had Matt Smith for 3 wrong orders in the 6-pack. So I think if
Nat,
you had
Nat LePan on the other side of the glass is showing a number 4. I went over on that, didn't I?
You went over. We all took the over, so it's not like there's nothing untoward here.
Check.
But generally, it starts with Mike, then me, then you, then it starts with me. You started off with yourself, and then it just spiraled out of control.
Right. So here's.
So I'm going to give the over the win.
Can I make a suggestion as we're wrapping things up? Is similar to the email address and the phone number. Write that down for me someplace, all right? That'll do it for the Patriots pregame social, fueled by Duncan. For Mike Dussault and Paul Perillo, Tamara Brown earlier, I'm Matt Smith. Enjoy the game. We'll be here to wrap the whole thing up after the Patriots take on the Tennessee Titans. Kickoff in about 15 or 20 minutes. Enjoy the game, everybody.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.